did you offend him with your Japanese? And he was like, no, I don't think so. And it's like, dude, come on, you didn't say a word in Japanese. How can you offend her? Good screenwriting. Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Movie Time. Today we've been looking at this movie called Temple, or The Temple, if you want to trust the title of the movie when you are watching it. It's kind of up to you, but it's Temple according to IMDb, and that's what we're going with. This movie was released in the year 2017. It was directed by a guy called Michael Barrett. It was written by Simon Barrett, Neal Edelstein, some two Japanese guys called Shinya, Egawa, or Mike Macari. Which I think is good that they bring in some Japanese influence into the movie.
To make it more authentic.
Yeah, it actually feels very authentic with Japanese details, so that might be why.
Yeah, and if they want to make a Japanese horror movie that's not entirely through American eyes, I think that this is the right thing to do it.
Yeah.
Either way, they failed. But that is what we're going to talk about today. Some of you, or one of you, can describe the plot because it's really simple. What is it about?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's about this girl that's she's studying religion or something, and as part of her project, she wants to go to Japan to study old Shinto shrines. And she's bringing along her childhood friend and her boyfriend. So that's basically it. The three of them are going to Japan to visit an old shrine or temple.
Exactly. They go to Japan and they find this book randomly and about a temple, and they want to go there. That is pretty much it.
Yeah, it has to be exactly that temple that they find in exactly that book.
Yeah, it's really convenient. I mean, if you want to make it less random, I think they could have been introduced to the book in a different way. But we can talk about that more. With that plot said, let's talk about the characters. It's very easy this time. They're only 3, and they have no characteristics whatsoever. They are totally blank, all 3 of them.
Yeah, they're very thin.
So let's talk about blank character number 1, and that's Kate. She is the one, as Adam described, she is the one writing about religion, and she has a boyfriend. Is there anything else?
Well, she basically, I get the feeling that she enjoys playing with them to get both of their attention.
So she's an attention whore.
Yeah.
Okay, at least she gets something else going for her, so she's not just writing about religion. We can talk more about them as a gang after we introduce them as characters, so we can just go through them quickly. And then we have James, which is her boyfriend. You kind of really fast get the feeling of him being a complete douche.
Yeah.
And since you need someone to, usually in this case, kill off, you introduce a really douchey guy that you don't really care about or that you are happy to get rid of during the movie. But since everyone suck, you don't really care that he is the one getting killed first, or if it's Kate, or if it's Chris, because everyone is just dull characters.
If I had to bet money on who they would kill off first, then I would bet on James, because he's that's the big douchebag.
Yeah, exactly. And they kind of introduce him in that way, and also add situations to him that makes him a bad guy in many eyes.
Yeah.
He's cheating on her, and he's being rude, and he's not really respectful towards Japanese people and stuff like that. He's just like nonchalant towards everything.
Yeah. Really unlikable.
Yeah, he's unlikable, but now that I'm talking about him, he seems to be the character with the most depth, at least.
Yeah, the most personality.
Exactly, and that says much about this movie.
Yes.
Then we have the third guy, the third wheel, blank character number 3, and his name is Chris. And as you described in he is the guy who is friend zoned by Kate.
He's also a creep.
Yeah, he films everything, even though he shouldn't.
He is, we think, he is interested in Kate. We don't really get a sense that he likes anything, but I think that he likes Kate and he likes to record stuff. Because he's walking around with his camera all the time, and the way that he is filming stuff, I kind of get the feeling that he's into making movies as well.
Yeah.
That he might do it on his free time or stuff. It's not talked about anything throughout the movie, but it's just the way that he's using his camera that makes me think so.
Yeah, and he is also the only character that can actually speak Japanese.
Right, he can speak Japanese, which is very convenient. He seems to like Japan, and he's always wanted to go there. But isn't it really impressive of him to learn Japanese like fluently by never going there?
Watches a lot of anime.
I
Kate
guess
says
so.
that he knows a little Japanese, but actually seems to know quite a lot of Japanese because he can have like proper conversations with the locals such.
Well, not that he has very complicated conversations. They're pretty basic most of the time.
Yeah, but what I mean is that he knows more than like the common tourist phrases.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not that much actually, because when they say something complicated, usually he just tells the others in English what that person said without answering back.
I mean, he might be intending to answer later. He just would like tell others what they're saying first.
Yeah, I know, but it to me it felt a bit weird, but whatever.
But still, if he understands them, then he knows Japanese. I mean, it can always be a differential. It can always be differential if he can't read it or if he can't answer. But if he understands what they're saying to him.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that the character is supposed to know Japanese, but the actor doesn't really.
Oh yeah, the actor goes out of his way not to talk Japanese.
Yeah.
It's a bad character for him.
Also, if I would narrow down one main character in this movie, I would say it's probably him.
Yeah.
You think he's the main character?
If you would have to pick one of them, then yes.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting the most screen time also. And it seems that the movie wants us to feel sorry for him throughout the movie in the way that he always looking at Kate and James as a couple. And you get the sense that he's jealous. He never says anything about it. He never expresses his feelings for her. He never accidentally says anything to James that might upset him. He doesn't do anything. He's just recording stuff, and then he speaks Japanese sometimes.
Yeah.
None of these characters manage to do anything for you to actually get sympathy for them.
No, and that's a bad thing.
It is.
Speaking of the Japanese thing, it was really funny when I found the book, and he was Chris was talking to this old lady
shopkeeper.
Yeah, the old lady owning the store, and and she said in Japanese that the book wasn't for sale, and he translated it to English as he always does, and then they got kicked out, and Kate is like, "Did you offend him with your Japanese?" And he was like, "No, I don't think so." And it's like, dude, come on, you didn't say a word in Japanese. How can you offend her? Good screenwriting.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk more about because I would say the character is we're finished with that. We can talk about the relation between them. Uh, uh, what do you think of them? The dynamic between the group, and also Chris is best friends with Kate. So I would say that they have pretty much history together. So what do you think about the dynamic?
I honestly God can't see why any of them would want like to travel as that trio.
No. And
Uh,
you can't really feel that they have been best friends for life. It feels really awkward all the time.
It does.
Chris and Kate are never alone, except for the ending, I think.
Towards the end, they are for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they could had. I mean, it's a problem, I think, when they are free, because since James is her boyfriend and Chris is friends with Kate, it makes it impossible for James to walk alone, but Chris can walk alone, but Kate can't walk alone because James and Chris doesn't really know each other. It's Kate is the glue in the group, which makes it hard for Chris and Kate to, try to talk about their friendship or anything old or any inside jokes or anything to create the illusion of them being friends.
Hmm.
I think
So
one of the biggest problems with this movie is that they have very few interactions where I actually feel any kind of emotions. So it's kind of hard to pin down like what kind of people they are and how they actually feel about each other.
yeah, and the only reason that we know that they've been for a long time is that Kate and James, the boyfriend, they spent one night at a hotel by themselves, and James was a bit jealous because he wasn't an ugly friend or anything. And then he just asked, and Kate says, "Well, we have been friends for a long time," and that's pretty much it. That's why we know it. Otherwise, they could have been like friends for a year or anything. I don't know.
Hmm.
She might well have been a guy she met at the airport and was like, "Hey, we have third ticket. Wanna come with us?"
I really have a problem that they have three characters, because three characters are, well, it's hard for them to interact by themselves, and it's also hard to kill off a character
I
because
wish they had four actually.
yeah, because it would have been easier for them. They could have had a fourth guy that's, I don't want to say to make him even more bland than the others, but they could have had one fourth guy that they could have killed off. I mean, James could have a friend or anything or something. I don't know. Or Kate could have brought on a second girl. That could have
Yeah,
been a thing between.
or if Chris had his own girlfriend with him.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, Chris can still like Kate if they want that in the story. They could have some history that he and she haven't told James or Chris' girlfriend or anything. That they could have created some sort of uh, drama as well. I don't really like that in movies usually, but here we kind of felt that it was necessary because you don't really get that there is any tension between them. The only thing that you know is James is a bit jealous and Chris likes Kate, but there's never any problem between Chris and James
No,
because
but the movie could have worked well if it was just Chris and Kate as well. If they
Yeah.
actually were boyfriend and girlfriend and had this travel plan together, James is not needed at all.
yeah, but then they still need someone that they can kill off. I mean, so two people, it's very little. Then they had to meet someone perhaps on the way, maybe some hikers
An
and stuff.
idea I had actually was that what if Kate had like got to know some Japanese person online that like had a similar interest? Then that person could have met them when they were in Tokyo and act like a Japanese guide for them. And also could have told them a bit about Japanese customs and such when they visited the shrine and everything.
Yeah, or if they just met a Japanese guy from the village and he could have joined them as their guide on this way on their way up to the temple.
Yeah, I think that too. But
Mm.
in any case, I think if there were four people instead of three, it would have been much better.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it affects the story a bit. But maybe it's harder to write dialogue for four people. Even though they
Or
don't say much in this
maybe
movie.
they ran out of money.
Yeah, probably. But they don't say much in this movie. It's more the feeling you get when you look at the group.
I said it before when we saw the movie and I stand by that statement that I think they were going with a bit of a Blair Witch vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are using first person, not shooting. What is it called? Filming from one of the characters' eyes. Which is the thing that they did a lot in Blair Witch, and in Blair Witch is it's much about the scenery around them and the psychological terror.
I think
More,
that's what they're trying to do to justify that not much is happening in this movie because they're going with the Blair Witch thing that it's more like a diary kind of movie that, of course, things aren't going to happen all the time in such a movie.
yeah, but the problem in this movie is that if they are trying to build up this psychological terror that they are experiencing or that you want, then you need like a nice climax to that, and the movie doesn't have that either. Because when they reach the destination of this temple where shit is supposed to hit the fan, nothing really happens, and they want to leave right away.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think they're going for that kind of vibe, but I think they're really feeling with it. But I think that was their goal.
Have you seen the movie Midsummer?
I have, yeah.
I
Yeah,
haven't, but
the one thing, maybe you can agree with me or disagree with me on this, Adam. That movie is about that place that they're spending all the time at. When they reach the destination, all the creepy stuff is happening on this place during several days, maybe weeks, I don't know. But what if that movie was about them getting to this midsummer place, and then you only spent like a one day there, and everything's supposed to happen like in this second? Then it wouldn't have been much of a psychological problem for them, because
I agree. That would be very strange. And I think that's one of the big problems with this movie, that it's called Temple, but it's not really about the temple, because when they actually get to the temple, there isn't much time left in the movie.
no, so it's more about finding the temple, and I think they spend too much time finding the temple. The movie is kind of split into three ways. The first part of the movie is like they're trying to build up the characters and the relationship between them. That fails, and then the second part of the movie is them trying to reach the temple. It's hard to say that they fail on that, but it's very long. It's too long. So according to me, that is failing.
yeah, a lot of walking in the forest.
Yeah, and trying to find information about the temple to build up the mystique or something for the viewer to know. And then the third part of the movie is them being at the temple, which is a total fail because nothing really happens.
Yeah, it's like one end scene, which is pretty bad.
So how would it make this better? First of all, we kind of need to like the characters. And I don't know if this is an acting issue, but Kate is the worst one. And she doesn't really say much, but her face expression is always, I'm so damn cute, I'm so hot, and I got two guys fighting over me. That's like the only thing she's doing throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying.
I think it's also a writing issue because if you look at the personality traits that have been written, Kate actually has the weakest ones. I'm not saying that other two are strong, but they just didn't write much into Kate, it feels.
But one thing I think is really strange is if she now has this assignment to visit temples in Japan when she goes there, why doesn't she have a plan before they leave?
A good point. That is a really good point.
I also wonder why she has this thing that she wants to visit the most obscure shrine in all of Japan.
Yeah, it's like an old forgotten temple that no one has heard about.
That is a very good point, Rube. Because they could have made the first part of the movie where they're building relationship between each other, where they go to different temples. And this could just be like regular temples where they find out. And when they are on this route of visiting temples, they could accidentally in some way find out about this special temple somewhere up in the mountains by someone who is working on one of the temples.
Yeah, I agree.
Because then it would make more sense. Now they are just stumbling on this temple in the most dumb way ever. She finds a book and looks through a few pages, and she just needs to find this place for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. It feels like a lot of the first part of the movie could have just like been cut out, like when they were partying in Tokyo and such.
Yeah, but I think they're using that in order to build a relationship and the characters, because James is cheating on Kate during one of these scenes, and this is for us to hate him. So they want to throw that in.
I don't know if it was intentional, but that also made me hate Chris because he actually saw it and filmed it, but he never told Kate.
Yeah, I know. And it's never talked about. The thought kind of struck me now. They never speak of this.
No.
I mean, not even in the end of the movie where they're sitting at the fireplace and talking, face to face, Kate and Chris, after James does something weird and just run off to the temple. No, he runs back to the village. That is what he's doing. No, that's not us.
He runs away and ends
but
up
why
in
did he
some
leave the
mine.
fireplace?
I don't know. They were arguing about something about a baby, but that
Yeah,
didn't
I
make
mean,
any
no,
sense.
the baby is what I'm getting, because they were talking. Chris and Kate were talking by the fireplace because James leave.
He just said that he wanted to go for a walk.
Okay, you're right. That is what he did, which is super strange. I don't like that. That is bad writing.
Yeah, that's not natural. That's just the worst excuse to make someone leave.
Exactly. You're in a forest up in the hills where it's a bit spooky, and you have a pretty bad flashlight, and let's take a stroll in the forest. No, you don't do that because you don't know what's in the forest, what kind of animals it is, or whatever. Or in this place, demons or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But that was why he left at least, and that's the excuse for Kate and Chris to be able to talk a bit. And then they talk about a baby. And here is where they lost me a bit, because I don't know if it's Chris' baby or if it's James' baby, or if it's James' baby and it died, or if James didn't know about the baby but Chris does know about the baby.
Or if it's someone else's baby.
Or if it's someone else's baby, yeah. Because it's just, they only say he doesn't know about the baby. And I guess she's supposed to be pregnant then, but
or
why
if she had
not?
a miscarriage. I don't even know if she had a miscarriage or not.
We don't know anything, because then they walk off into the temple, talk a little bit. He finds out about the baby we still doesn't know what is what, but he gets pissed and he runs off.
Yeah.
No, that part is very unclear, and I don't know what
it was. It was a very quick explanation that they just brushed over, and so we were left confused mostly.
And this feels like it's written out of the blue, because it kind of felt like the writers didn't really thought about this. Like, okay, we need a reason for him to be killed. Yeah, but they are always walking together. Yeah, but maybe Kate has something with the baby. Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? Because it's never mentioned in the movie except for that one time. That is one thing that Kate and Chris could have talked about like ages ago in the movie. So it can be like something that we know about and it's weighing her, and it could have been something that it can bring up during the fireplace, but not just out of the blue for someone like us to find out for no reason, and for him to be mad and run off.
It is strange it wasn't foreshadowed at all before then.
No. We should probably also mention that the temple is a shrine for a kitsune or something, or at least a kitsune roams there.
Okay, what is a kitsune?
It's a shape-shifting fox demon in old Japanese lore.
Okay, so
Uh,
this is a known thing in Japanese culture.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a pretty popular folklore thing.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So it's a kitsune temple. If it's
Thing is that with the premise of this movie, I actually looked forward to it a bit because I thought it sounded kind of cool to have a horror movie set in a Japanese temple because somehow that felt a bit more unique than the typical Western ghost mansion.
Yeah, and there
but
are pretty cool stories with the kitsune. They could have used something like that, but it felt pretty thin, just like they slapped it on to the movie and didn't have anything else to do with it.
Everything just fell flat, especially towards the end because I can't make any sense of the ending.
No.
let's talk a bit about the boy, because in the ending it seems to be a big part. Uh, First of all, Chris meets this boy, this weird Japanese boy, in the same bookstore where they were not allowed to buy the book about the temple.
Hmm.
He, of course, can buy the book of the boy, and he can stroll on. I don't find that weird. I mean, the boy can be there by himself. There's nothing weird about that. I can buy that. But that boy keeps showing up, um, and but that boy is also the guide for them to reach the temple.
Hmm.
So they don't even need the book for that. But how come the boy shows up to show them to the temple?
Well, that is a bit unclear. In the ending, it suggested that he's actually a ghost, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but why did he show up to lead them the way to?
I guess he's a projection from the kitsune demon because I guess it wants to feed on someone, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean from the character side, how weird isn't that in I don't know if are they in Tokyo or whatever? This is a
Yeah.
big place and there's a lot of people. And for some reason they run into the same boy twice
Hmm.
in 1 or 2 days.
Not
And
to mention
also
that second time is like in this village in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
exactly. I just find it strange that they don't question this. I
I
mean,
also found that strange. I would find that very, very strange.
where are your parents, etc., etc. No, they don't give a shit. Let's kidnap this boy so he can show us the way to the temple. And then also let him walk all the way alone back.
Yeah. Without any concern
I also found
whatsoever.
that strange that when they begin to walk towards the temple, I guess if they were smart, they set off in the morning. The boy tells them, "You have to leave the shrine before it gets dark." They're like, okay. Then it turns out they walk for the whole day. And when they actually get to the shrine, then the boy says, "Oh, it's starting to get dark. Now I'm gonna go home." So, in other words, it was kind of set up so they aren't gonna get any time at the shrine because the whole trip that took the whole day.
Yeah.
What a dick. But to be fair, they were also dicks towards him. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah. Okay, so that boy disappears out of the story for now.
Hmm.
And now when they're at the temple, the creepy stuff is supposed to happen. Did you jump out of your chair for some reason for some of the scares, or did you find anything off-putting in the movie that they did well? I mean,
I can only
No.
say there was nothing. Everything felt very cliche, and
Yeah.
nothing ever really surprised you.
the the big problem in this movie is when they are hitting the climax is that they chose to make this movie extremely dark. I
And
mean, you
dumb.
can't see any like Game of Thrones dark. You can't see anything. It's like super dark.
Yeah,
And
either you're following behind the character and they're shining their flashlight and you can barely see anything, or the flashlight shines in the audience face so you can't see anything because of that.
did he choose to do this because they want this to so look realistic? Because you're in a forest, it's supposed to be dark.
Yeah,
A
I
thought I
guess.
had is that if they really are big Blair Witch fans, then this might be them doing what they did in the Air Blair Witch when they actually get to like the cottage of the old witch. Because if you remember, they got that in the very end, and then everything happens very quickly, and it's very intense because it's dark with flashlights and everything.
Yeah, but then they should have brought the camera because she doesn't bring the camera, so it's just weird.
It is weird, but I don't know. Somehow feels like they wanted that kind of vibe for this movie, but they just failed miserably.
Yeah, because what happens is that James runs off because of that baby weird thing. And then they hear a sound in the middle of the night, and Kate just runs out into the forest for no reason, basically. And she ends up in these old mines, and apparently she finds James there. And his eyes has been cut out, and she basically screams and runs away from there and leaves him there, and then just falls on the ground.
Exactly. And here is also something that happens in the movie. There seems to be a monster walking around, right?
Yeah.
And you make the assumption that the monster is the one doing all the killing.
Yeah.
And you actually get to see the monster manifest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a kitsune, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you get to see the monster. You see this two-headed wolf thing, right?
You
Yes.
see
And you,
it. You don't get like a good view of it, but yeah, you see like parts of it several times.
no, but
Yes.
I think you saw the two-headed wolf.
Yeah,
I think,
the first time you see it, you see pretty much the whole thing. So.
yeah, I
Yeah, the
think
first time, yeah, but after that, you only see claws
Glimpses.
of it and such like several times.
exactly. And you also see the claws close to characters who are going to die at that point. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on here, and the reason I'm picking this up is because Chris is supposed to be crazy,
Yeah.
and he is the one supposed to be doing the murdering, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
that
it's
was
supposed to be
revealed in the
like that.
end.
Yeah, and for me, there's no way they can do it like this. Because you get to see the monster and you get to see the claws, you get to see like pretty much everything that's related to a monster, and you also see it touching James at one point.
We actually
Yeah.
forgot to mention this also, but at the start of the movie, you see that it's Chris in some kind of hospital, and he's being interviewed by some people that try to figure out what actually happened. So this takes place after the events in the movie. And then you also see that
Yeah,
his face is like very deformed, and you would guess that's because in the temple you see that he got attacked by ghost children.
yeah.
But the thing is that if they're trying to set up that Chris is the one responsible for everything, that he's just crazy, then that means that he must have like clawed off his own face also.
But they did show a shadow of that, I think. When they filmed the
Yeah.
temple like pretty fast, I think they filmed him clawing himself.
But they filmed this as it's supposed to happen at the same time as James and Kate are doing their thing in the mine. He is doing this back in the temple
That's the
with the
thing.
ghost children.
So how can he both be down clawed his own face and at the same time like hunt down James in the forest?
And
Yeah.
also, what is the monster? Who is the one with the claws touching James? Or did the monster not kill James? He was just there walking around and taunting them, and Chris was the one doing all the killing.
I have a wild idea, but I don't have much basis for it. That It was actually mentioned in the book that Kitsune is a shape-shifting monster. So what if that Kitsune would actually change itself into Chris and then murder James, only to make that like appear in the camera, so they would have a movie of Chris killing James.
Yeah, but
Maybe.
you don't get a final answer on this. You
That's the
don't
thing,
know.
and that's what's very annoying.
I mean, you can build up a story for the viewer to decide. I mean, Shutter Island is a perfect example for that, even though there's like a million clues in that movie for that he is crazy. But you don't really, when you see it the first time, you don't notice, and you're just like, is he crazy? Is he not? Blah 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 blah. But in this movie, you just don't know, because if we were to watch this movie again, there's no clues behind this. I wouldn't say. There's nothing. I've been thinking about this, and there's nothing pointing it towards this monster shape shifting or whatever to be Chris. I mean, Chris is, and there's no proof of Chris doing this, because he's at the temple like the entire time.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing, that there's no evidence either way, because there was no evidence before of Chris being crazy. I could have accepted it if there were signs for the whole movie that he was mentally unstable, but no, it just comes out of nowhere that apparently was crazy.
It was crazy the whole time. I mean, they did say in the movie that the place makes him can make you sick. So I think he got crazy at that time.
But it's just like it comes out of nowhere with no warning whatsoever.
Yeah, and apparently he was crazy before he reached the temple, because he didn't see the boy. Well, he saw the boy, but the boy wasn't there. It was just like in his imagination.
Yeah, but then the other characters saw the boy as well.
Yeah, they did. All three of them saw the boy because they interacted with him.
Yeah, or if the Kitsune made all of them see things, and everything is the Kitsune's fault after all, but you can't prove it.
Yeah, because in the final scene of the movie, Kate laying on the ground, and you can hear the growling behind her. So I guess it was the monster that killed him.
Everything points to that there was a monster, but at the same time, if the investigators in the end, whatever they are to believe, then Chris killed James, and apparently they have film evidence of that.
Yeah, but it might be, as you say, the shapeshifter thing. So maybe he shapeshift himself into Chris, as you said. Because
that could
James
be, but the annoying thing about that is that there is nothing to point to that except for a line in the book that it's a shape-shifting Kitsune, and from that alone you have to build this assumption.
Yeah, exactly, but maybe that's one of the small clues that they want you to remember, even though it makes no sense for you to remember that. It's just something they say in passing by.
Yeah.
I think the ending was just confusing, at least, because it's so obscure that it's hard to draw a conclusion about what actually happened.
Yeah, we were left with a lot of questions and no answers.
But to be fair, I don't really care.
No.
No, me neither.
I'm not impressed by this movie. I think there is nothing else to say about it.
I think it would have been much better if they spent half the movie getting there and the other half the movie being there, and they could have spent several days there, and you could have seen that slowly they began to lose their minds while they were being there. Instead of they were there one night and everything just happened and woof, straight away.
Yeah, and we are talking about hours. It's not even 6 hours. It feels like it's just 3 hours that they're there or something, and the shit's just starting to happen very short time. Yeah. Okay, I think we can start to rate the movie.
Yeah, if no one wants to answer or talk about special effects and camera work and stuff.
I mean, the camera work we have it being dark. Otherwise, I don't really see a problem with it. I
No.
don't really understand why in one scene that Chris runs out of the train in order to be able to film Kate and James making out. I don't know.
Yeah, but then again, he films them having sex and everything else. So.
Exactly. He's a super creep. How are you supposed to like any of these characters?
Yeah, you're not.
No.
No, so I think we can rate. Maybe I should start for
Sure.
change of pace. And I would say that since the movie is quite boring, there's nothing going on. The dialogue is pretty much non-existent, and the characters are so bland that I have a hard time describing them. Trying to find something good to say about it. I like the scenery in Tokyo, I guess, but I don't know if that's the director's thing. So I think I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10 because there's no reason for me to recommend this at all.
Yeah, well, for me, it's like it could have been so much better. Like the stories about the kitsune and everything, they have pretty much good lore to draw inspiration from, but instead they just waste it like this. The movie itself is boring, slow paced, and you don't care for any of the characters. It's very bland. The scenery is okay, but it's nothing really special. So I'm also going to give it a 2 out of 10.
As I said before, I think that the premise is pretty good. So I thought this movie had potential, but they really dropped the ball. So yeah, it's boring, and towards the end, it's just confusing. I will give it bonus points because I think that actually did a good job making it authentic Japanese, like the
Yeah.
scenery and the customs of the people they meet and everything. So yeah, for that, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so Adam is the one who is positive today instead of me. It's
I'm
good.
not gonna recommend it still, just so you know.
No, but it's not the worst thing I've seen.
No, it's not.
No, it's not the worst thing I've seen either. It's more of a. It's hard to put them in relation. This is obviously a more budget-friendly movie, but they're not doing anything with it. It's just slow pace throughout the movie, and there's no climax. There's just stupid decisions in the end, and then some weird twist that is not supposed to be there. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.